The new quests are into Escape from Tarkov, including, of course, the RSHG rocket launcher, but most importantly, of course, you've got the profitable venture, which is going to give you a ton of skills that you can get leveled up, literally +1 level to stress resistance, to perception, attention, aim drills, combat, covert movement, and of course this being a quest line, and as you go through the quest line you're able to unlock what would be essentially a weekly quest in addition to your current weekly quest that you may have unlocked. But how can we complete this efficiently if you are purely trying to get this done without spending like 60 million rubles, which is what it currently costs, just to get this REAP IR thermal scope task done, to get all of these, which is a way to make a ton of money as well. So if you want to make a ton of money off of all of the rich people like me in the game, or if you want to simply complete this task without having to spend 60 million rubles, then today's video is going to be for you. Now, obviously, we are going to be looking at how you can obtain the Tricon REAP IR thermal scope. So you have two barters right here, mechanic and skier. The first barter requires power filters, MCBs, and iridium. Now, MCBs very difficult to actually get your hands on, the same as power filters, unless you are playing woods. Now, the woods bunker is a fantastic place to find yourself power filters. However, this is not the most optimal way of making money if that is what you want to do, and because these are relatively difficult to get a hold of, with both the power filters and the MCBs basically being on different maps where you can find them efficiently and in quite few quantity. In order to complete this barter you need 4 power filters, 4 MCBs and 4 iridium. The iridium is super expensive and available on pretty much every single map as a rare spawn. However, the other two very difficult to get your hands on reliably and in the quantity that you're going to need to complete the barter. And therefore, in order to actually make yourself some money or get the task done quickly, it's not going to be the barter that we'll be focusing on today. However, the other barter is from Skier, which requires you to get 5 clocks, to get 6 Rolexes, and to get 6 skulls. Now, the best way in order to complete this, or to simply abuse all of those people, exploit all of those people's underlying want and need to get this task done. Me, myself, I'm going to hold off until a little bit later on, and I'll just purchase everything when it becomes somewhat cheaper after all of the hype has died down. It's what I would recommend to a lot of you guys, unless of course you want to get straight into the action. I'll probably end up just doing it anyway, so maybe I won't hold off, to be honest. But in terms of how we can maximize this, how we can make the money, or simply how you can get yourself through this as quickly as possible, there is one specific map that we are going to be taking a look at, and I'm pretty sure you guys could make a good estimated guess as to which map that is going to be. And it would be none other than labs, of course, and the reason for this is because there is one room in particular that is absolutely broken beyond belief, and so let's jump into the actual raid. I'll show you where it is, where you can pick up some of the other rare spawns as well, whilst we jump into labs itself and why you're going to want to run labs. It is super safe, so if you're scared of labs, don't worry. It is super simple to get to, and you do not have to do any of the additional areas within this run that I'll mention as additional places to go. So be aware, super easy. You don't have to worry too much. There's only realistically going to be about 1 gunfight you may have to get into, and most of the time you probably don't even have that because of the speed at which we're going through and getting this done. So jumping into the raid, of course, depending on where you spawn, is kind of going to depend the speed of the raid. Now, we have spawned over by the red room. Now, we could go and hit up the red room if we so desired, which I suppose we should since we're right over here. Now, this is a little bit risky to do, but we will go and hit up the red room. Hopefully the... oh, there we go, of course. So we can check up all of the rare spawns. There's some on the desk and over there, and we also want to pick up the ammunition as well. Okay. So we got rid of those. Obviously, that's because we hit up the red room. Don't worry, if you are not wanting to hit up any of the other doors in labs, you won't have to worry about any of this. Red room, and typically where we are right now, is one of the most risky places to go on the map because of the fact that there's a lot of PMC spawns and they can catch you out quite easily on this map. But as long as you've got your headphones on, you're listening, and you're hearing where they're running to, you can have a pretty good idea as to where you need to go. So by no means do you need the best ammunition in the game at all. So you don't have to worry about that, and you'll probably find quite a lot of good ammunition as well. So we'll go on down here and continue looting up this room. So we've got MATA1, a really good place to farm up ammunition at the exact same time as well. You can see some of the top tier ammunition in the game just available in this room. 300 blackout AP, which is nice, and we can just check up on here as well for any decent grips as well. And then we've got ourselves an RFIDR. We can open up this room, which we do have the key for. This will be in here, which I believe is the ASR, so the Arsenal storage room. And then we have some more respawns in here. One thing to note is you can run and you can jump up on top of here. And for some reason, it bugged out. There we go. And we can check on top of the shelves. There can be bitcoins up there. That's the main reason why we want to do that. Some more ammunition over here. So we unload all of this because it can spawn in 20 packs, and you can save yourself some space. Obviously bringing a bigger backpack than I am in this one. So, yes, the window is a bit of a pain in the backside. So they should all be taken out now, which leaves us to hit up the Violet room. Violet is actually one of the best rooms on labs, to be honest with you, because there is so many good rare loot spawns on the floor as you directly enter in. You've got all of these shelves, which have about 3 rare loot spawns. Obviously on the desk, you can see there, we got a Bitcoin. In here, you can also find rare spawns that do spawn on these shelving units as well. So a nice little addition to double check. We've got ourselves the weapon box. This is once again an additional area, and you want to just drop in all of the ammunition and rare items that you want to keep into your back. And we want to leave enough space for 1 ammunition, a lion there, so we could take it if we wanted to, a little pass. We've got ourselves a cultist figurine, and then you also have some more rare spawns over there, and 2 gigantic weapon boxes as well. So nothing going to be in that one. And nothing in there, and then in here is a couple more rare spawns on the floor and over there, so nothing too spectacular. And then what we always do is check for the red key card, which can spawn on that shelf over there, and then that's pretty much all we're going to look at with regards to that today. Now we can drop out our CMS and grab up one of the figurines. We'll grab up the cultist, and then we can drop in that there. And there we go. Now we should be good to go. We will just load up on some more ammunition here. So now we can loot up these guys. He's got a T30 backpack, so we can drop in all of this. And there we go. Now, as a safer option, we are going to make our way over through the kitchen area. And we can make our way down the stairs over here. And then we are going to run along the ground floor over here. And there we go, some more PMCs taken out. We will just load our mag back up. Grab up that 60 rounder. We don't want to lose that one. And there we go, all mags packed. Now we can make our way directly over to where you would have the black room, which is just over here. Now you can hit our black room. It's an additional bit of money should you have the actual black room key, but you can always check inside a black room, see if there's a LEDX. That is what you can do to maximize the money that you can make. Which you can do. You can check on this chair, which is where you would find there's an SJ6 on there. Otherwise, what you can do is go into this room and you can see even more and pretty much scope out the entirety of black room, and you can guarantee to see the LEDX if it is actually there. So you can see nothing. Now we have got some AI. That's one AI down. And the second AI down. Cool. So now we make a right and we run down to the end of the corridor. You can loot up green room if you really want to risk it for the biscuit, but most of the time not really going to be worth it. We will always make our way into the blue room and come over to this table. There can be a green keycard spawn, and check over here for some stim spawns. Now, if you've got a scope, you can check on the desk. Now, the desk over here can have the red keycard spawn actually in the blue room. So if it is there, I would go into the room. If it isn't, blue room absolutely sucks. A big bag of turd. So I would not actually go into the room unless I see the red keycard. But always have yourself at least a 1 out of 10 use blue keycard just in case. Now we can make our way into here. Over here you got some weapons you can pick up if you wanted to. So an MCX, will take that. And then some more ammunition. Obviously some of the best tier ammunition in the game. You guys have seen this many a time, I'm sure, if you've been following the channel for any length of time. You got some spawns for the residential access keycard, which is where we are going to be going. We have the civilian body in here. It's actually really, really important that you do check this. This has some good stuff in it 90% of the time. And there you go. We've made ourselves a ton of money just from checking this one. So we can grab out the clock. The clock is worth about 500k right now. So very much worth taking a look at when it comes to coming into this room. Turn on the power here. And then we'll take a right in here, check on the chair, and in the corner over here, you will find yourself a potential spawn for the res unit. So res unit, this is where we are going to find a ton of rare spawns. First one is to check on the shelves over here. You can find rare spawns on the little drawers there. We have got ourselves an egg, a duffel bag, and under here is usually a weapon, but not today. And then, of course, you can min-max your inventory if you want to. So taking out the splint, putting in that. You can drop in the GP coin. We got ourselves a clock again. So what we can do here is min-max. We will just drop out some of this. I mean, I'm not gonna use it. Can we remove it? Yes, we can. We can drop out the M855. We're not going to use that. And then now we have room for our little clock. We can grab out the Raven. We can check the duffel bag. And of course, there's not going to be anything in it. And then we've got ourselves the rooster. And then we want to check underneath. You can see that's just the ammunition we dropped. But there can be bitcoins and just general loot in there. So always worth having a quick look. And you're basically looking to min-max your inventory. Now, I would take 2 injectors cases if I was opening up the black room. But since we're not doing that, there's no point in me doing it. So we are going to now come in to the actual main area of the office. Check the cup. That's where you can find a spawn for the res unit keycard, which is how we get into that room that we've just been in. And then, of course, you want to check all around here for more rare loot. Check on here as well, because there can be a spawn for the keycard. Then we're checking the bag. Come on, clock. Not quite. BCP FMJ, that can go. In here, we got some more med bags. Now, I have found a ton of LEDXs just in the med bags that have been in this room. So definitely worth having a look around to see if you can find some. Obviously, there's a ton of stim spawns. So you can see here, we're getting ourselves quite a lot of stims just simply lying around in this area of labs. And so over here is the res unit keycard spawn. So we can check that. And of course, it's there in this one. Drop in the ETGC ophthalmoscope, which is always nice. Another spawn for the res keycard is directly in this like area here, literally on this blue thing. Underneath here is another spawn for it. And then we want to come out of here. Another spawn is, I believe, over here on one of these, or on the table is another spawn. And then over here is another spawn for it. There's some more stims we can pick up. You got yourself another med bag. LEDX, come on. Not quite. And then we are checking for more stims. There we go. ETGC. Morphine. Not worth actually picking up that one. Duffel bag spawn there. On this table you got some more stim spawns that can spawn. And then over here we have, of course, got another med box. And in here we didn't get the LEDX. You got stim spawns all over this desk, as well as just general spawns. Another spawn for the res unit keycard in here. And then we got ourselves another med box that 90% of the time is here. I think it's a static spawn, this one. And no LEDX. And then over here is another med bag. This doesn't always spawn here, but yet again another chance at the LEDX. I've found probably like 20 LEDXs just from running in this room. So yeah, you can get lucky. There is a med bag over there that you can check, but it is a little bit more risky since you are going to have to sit out in the open. But it's okay. And then rather than going down the stairs to my right, which is a way down to where we want to go, I typically won't go that way. I will actually go over down to the stairs over on this side, since it's much more safe to use these stairs than the other one, since raiders do spawn directly in front of you on the stairs as you go down on the other stairs. This stair, you do have to be careful, because there can be raiders that spawn at the bottom here, and you'll typically know if the door's open. But as we come around it, you want to stop for a second, listen for footsteps. Can we hear anything? No. And so there was. And so that's why you want to be somewhat careful. Now, if you've got nades, and there we go. That should be them all done, but you never 100% know. So we will take a little bit of a caution as we go around. Obviously, raiders, those were raiders. They typically spawn down there as you take longer in the raid. When you are only doing the res unit, which is probably the preferable run for this, you will not have the raiders most likely spawn because you haven't taken a long time to actually go around the map. The longer you leave it in the raid, I think is every 5 minutes, the more raiders spawn in waves. So every 5 minutes some more raiders will spawn. They don't always spawn where, like down here for example, they could spawn somewhere else. And so, yeah, the longer you're in the raid, the more chance you're going to find those raiders actually in locations like here. So hence why we found them where we did. We'll just finish off loading this one up. Pick up that. Now the raiders do like doing little slot drops apparently. So we'll close up this door. Now you can loot up the raider if you really wanted to, just for nades or something, especially if you are trying to do the grenadier task type thing. They do typically have nades. This one isn't going to have one, but they do have gear as well, so you can always check that. And they can have decent items in there. So none of those actually had nades. we can drop into this room, turn on the power in the elevator. Close this door. Then you hit the elevator button. We can check up this guy. This guy actually has a Comtac 6 headset, so we will grab that. Now you got to be a little bit careful because raiders can spawn over down there. But we're safe and we can extract now. So that is kind of like the worst case scenario when it comes to fighting within the lab. However, when it comes to when you play, you're not going to be spending as long in the raid, so you're not going to get as many raiders, and you're certainly not going to find the PMCs if you are specifically going towards the residential access room. So you should be much better off. You are not going to have to take out 11 different things within labs if you play it safe and do not try and go around all of the other different rooms, but that's dependent on confidence level with labs. If you are simply a person wanting to make the most money and be super efficient, I would just run to the residential access room, check the blue room for the green keycard spawn, check inside of the blue room to see if the red keycard does actually spawn inside of there, and be sure that you do have yourself a blue keycard with at least one use just in case the red keycard does actually spawn inside of the room. So that is kind of what we do. It has been really, really beneficial. So we've done 2 raids in there so far. Obviously 2 Bitcoins that we pulled out. We pulled out some intel folders and a variety of other things. But the clocks and stuff that we found, we'll just dump into here and we can either use them ourselves or we can get rid of them, or do whatever you want with them, to be honest. It's up to you whether you're going to use them, sell them. But I wanted to highlight that these are super, super useful. The residential access room key is really cheap. But of course, you're only using 1 use every raid. So you can sell 1 out of 2 use card for about 100k. Which I'd highly recommend doing, since you can find one every single raid, so it's just a bit more extra money every single time that you run in. Or if you're just going to use them, you can stockpile them by getting them every single raid. It's really easy and simple to find them, and sometimes you'll even find them directly outside of the residential access room on the chair or by the little rail anyway. So that is the strategy, and I have made probably in the region of about 40 million rubles, something like that. It might be like 30 million, but that was due to the fact that the clocks were going for like 3 million each. But since then, they have come down to about 300k per one. But of course, you can get all sorts in there. You can get the skulls, which are worth like 200k each. You can get all sorts for the barter, for the Reap IR, and general rare loot spawns, bitcoins, the intel folders, the labs blue folders as well, you can find in there as well, and the badges, all sorts within there, and of course the potential for a green or a red keycard within this route as well. So it's one of the best ways to farm some money and farm the items required for your task. So with that being said, there you go. That is the best way to farm up the event if you want to make money or simply exploit the task as quickly as possible if you haven't got the money at the same time. So thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like it. And of course, subscribe down below if you want to see some more. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.